And I mean, you hear all kinds of stories with with delivery in Ghana. I remember one of the funny ones that I heard was someone's like, "Oh, we're delivering in Ghana. By the time your rice and stew arrives, it's jollof." So it's like,
Ghana will be doing.
yeah. So,
I'm building something also, and then let's say in a couple of months I'll be looking like raise some pre-seed round.
yeah.
What would be one advice you give to people like me?
Those people who are willing to invest at that stage, the institutional guys, unless you're in Silicon Valley where people are raising just on vibes. In our context, I think it's people who know you, people who understand your track record, your credibility. So when we started out, one of our strategies for go-to-market was we need to hit some big fish, was what we call it. We need to hit some big fish because once you can prove that this organization trusts us, that we're able to deliver to the standard that you know they have, it's easier to convince the smaller fish.
Hello everyone, welcome to Building Bites, where we tell relevant stories about Ghana's tech ecosystem to fuel innovation and drive the growth of our digital economy. This is a show proudly brought to you with production support from Hapital Academy and shot in the Hapital Academy studios. Today we're having a very interesting conversation with Kwame Agyei Owusu. He's the founder of Zippy Courier delivery service, and we are come to learn about how he built this delivery service right here in Ghana and also learn about his journey. Before we do that, let's learn about what happened in tech. Poga will take us away.
Okay, so this week on what happened in tech, a couple of news. I think the first one, the president mentioned about taking away the minimum capital requirements for investment in Ghana. I think it's an interesting one, something that's kind of affected us personally, starting Ubadi. But also, I don't know what's your take on. I think they'll do that through the Ghana Investments Promotion Center. They would take away the minimum capital requirements. What's your take on that?
I actually like it based on my personal experience. So when we got pre-seed funding to get us started, I reached out to friends and family. We had, one or two investors who were foreign.
Okay.
And as soon as they get involved, the requirements change. There are so many hoops you need to jump through. And it actually made it difficult because we either had to raise all of the money with Ghanaians or we had to find enough foreigners willing to invest that much. So it's like we're kind of falling in between. So taking that away gives you the flexibility that you can get Ghanaian foreign support, however you can reach your raise. So I welcome that.
Okay, awesome. So I mean, my concern is what will be put in place to protect the Ghanaian entrepreneur.
That was my second thought.
Because we already have issues where the retail industry, of some foreigners, people complaining about foreigners coming into the retail industry and taking over jobs, and there being some instability and conflict there. So looking at how the government would put measures in place, so that it wouldn't be all about bringing in the dollars. To overtake Ghanaian entrepreneurs.
I think for me, at the time we were starting Ubadi, if this was in place, like fantastic, we get our directors and all of that. But also thinking about the local, I think the local people like us. So I know it's very difficult to raise money, like average Jew. It's very difficult to raise money. And if non-foreigners, non-Ghanaians are now almost getting the same access as we, it makes a little bit. It will be competitive. Like, I mean, the narrative is so the market become competitive, but competition, who will be winning? It won't be us.
Yeah, funding is everything.
Yeah, it won't be us.
Is everything.
It won't be us at all. Like,
so that's the answer. There needs to be ways that local founders have access to capital as well. Because the foreigners usually get access to capital very easily, and that trumps everything. If you have the money to execute, like ideas, you can have all the ideas, but can't execute. So
for me, I fear. I mean, government is not so good at implementing, like creating avenues for funding. They are not so good at it. Like it's not one of their strongholds.
Right.
And I mean, if you are going to like take this small thing that was making it like a lot more difficult for people to launch here, and also like make it mandatory to get like local people involved. I don't think it's like
That's I like what you just said there. So in lots of economies, lots of countries, you have the local content law where you need to get some co-founders that are local, and that's an easy sort of regulatory thing to implement that solves some of that problem.
I think it's been created in industry like the petroleum industry. I think there was a lot of local content there. So let's see how they channels, how the regulations come out. Hopefully they'll put in some protection for.
But I'm also surprised like no one is talking about it online.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised.
Lots of people are sending it to me, like on WhatsApp. People are sending it to me. They're like, "Oh, what do you think?" I'm like, "It would have been great for us back then."
Yeah, awesome. So the next news item, Affinity launches a new product, a new saving product called Boost. So basically, how it works is you set up a savings account. Basically, you choose a fixed tenor or time frame, and you earn annual interest, and you can add extra funds as and when you like. So I think this makes it like the fourth saving product they have, or fourth accounts. I'm checking the app. They have daily accounts. They have growth. So now they have boots and future accounts as well. So yeah, that's another news item. Affinity boosts. What do you think about your fintech industry in general, and about Affinity launching this product?
Well, I think just more people having access to banking is always a great thing. I mean, it's a safer place to put your money. They're talking about earning interest on that as well. When you mentioned that, I was thinking to myself, do I earn interest on my account that I have in Ghana? So that, I mean, that's I think it's a good thing.
So I think the boost is up to 15%.
Okay, yeah. I was about to
monthly interest.
15% annual.
No, but they pay monthly.
Yeah, they pay their interest. Okay. For my experience, every 30 days, 90 days or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
How does that compare to your traditional banks?
Oh, traditional.
I think in every time, maybe traditional bank is better. I know some banks that won't give you interest if your savings is less than 1,000 cedis.
Yeah. Also, if you withdraw
but
more,
they give interest that's comparable. Their rates.
Yeah, their rate is I think higher than most banks. I think most bank is giving
Affinity's
single
rates
digits.
exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Affinity is giving double digits interest rate, so it's better than most bank. I've not saved it all banks, but most bank you're getting like maybe 8% annually. Affinity is giving on some of their products up to 22, so 25% for some of their products. Awesome.
I mean, it sounds great. I hope it's sustainable so that they can build the trust and continue to grow it.
Yeah, awesome. So I think the last news item will be MTN Groups has done some executive shake-up where the former MTN Ghana CEO will move to Chief Commercial Officer. Is now being as his role has been expanded to include Chief Strategy and Transformation Officer. I think that's a role he would do great because in MTN Ghana he did a lot of transformation here. So under his supervision there was a lot of transformation. So and Ebenezer Asante, he was CEO before Salom took office, also moved to Senior Vice President of Markets to become the Vice President of Ghana, Southern and East Africa.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting. I think,
So they're getting regional roles or continental roles.
I think they're getting regional roles. I think they were already in that position, but I think with Salom Mandetwa expanded to Transformation Chief Strategy and Transformation Officer. I think that's great news for Ghanaian
good recognition of Ghanaian talent, right?
Yeah,
because
definitely.
MTN is across the whole continent. They could have picked the talent from many of these countries that they operate in, but we're seeing Ghanaians shining. So
yeah, definitely. And MTN Ghana has been like one of their best markets so far. One of their most profitable markets.
People will complain about those two
Those
years.
we still use it.
We'll complain, but data is still
Today was
rising.
even down, but we still use it.
Data is still rising.
So yeah, congratulations to both of them. Yeah. So basically that's all for what's happening in tech.
Okay, great. So we'll briefly do this week in AI. So we're looking at 3 stories. The first one is Meta. We know Meta was moving around poaching anybody and everybody with millions of dollars, but they've just put a pause on that this week. They're doing an internal restructuring. And then also, when you move to India, OpenAI just launched a new version of a new subscription of ChatGTP called ChatGTP Go, and it's costing just $5. I'm waiting for it to come to markets like Ghana, right? That's just it for this week in AI. So move straight into the conversation. This is a very expansive conversation. We are coming to learn about Kwame Agyei's journey. So first off, I just want you to briefly introduce yourself to the audience.
Cool.
Tell us about
Cool.
you, and then we'll get started.
So I'm Kwame Agyei Owusu, founder at Zippy. I grew up in Ghana, essentially formative years in Ghana. I went off to Stanford when I was 18. So I left Ghana to go to Stanford, graduated in mechanical engineering. I then embarked on a career with AstraZeneca. I was in global engineering project management.
Okay.
So building highly automated factories and facilities across 4 continents. And that career saw me ending up in China, where I've actually been based for the last 13 years. I'm between China and Ghana. And while I was in China, AstraZeneca wanted me to move back to Europe. Okay. But I had seen so much going on in China, innovations, and I've always had this thing in me where I wanted to connect what I do back to Ghana, back to Africa. So as I was there, I kept on thinking, wow, this would really make an impact in Ghana or in Africa. Wow, that would make an impact. And so when they asked me to leave, I was thinking, no, this is where I'm meant to be. Yeah. So I ended up quitting. Okay. I quit to set out on my own, set up my company, and my focus then was on product development aimed at the African continent. And one of the innovations that I had really, I was fascinated by and I really gravitated to was logistics in China. They're moving billions of packages across such a huge country, and they do it instantaneously, so efficiently. I was like, wow, this would be a game changer in Ghana if we could have this kind of system. The impact would be immeasurable. So that's when I started on this Zippy journey. I thought, okay, this is going to be the one. This is the way I'm going to, be a part of the story in what's happening in Ghana.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, so that's me.
Yeah. Cool. So we'll step back a bit. So how was growing up in Ghana before you moved to Stanford? How was it like? Which schools did you go to?
Okay, so I was actually born in Kumasi, but I didn't spend much time there. So it wasn't a major part of my childhood. I moved to Accra straight after that. I grew up in Mamprobi. Well, I can't say I grew up. I started out in Mamprobi, so my first few years in Mamprobi. So then I was going to Bishop Hours, which is in Latabi Okoshi. So then we moved to Dome, Parako Estates. So then I changed schools. I went to Alcid Academy. And then after Alcid, I went to SOS. Okay. And then from SOS to Stanford.
Okay. Where did you study in SOS?
Where did I stay? Which hospital?
What did you study?
So in SOS, it's the GCSE and the IB program. So I guess it's varied, but I was very much science aligned. So I did, if you think of it in terms of high levels and I guess electives, I did advanced maths, physics, and chemistry as my advanced stuff. And then I did economics, French, English as my lower levels.
Yeah. You speak French?
So I used to be really good at French, actually. So when I continued all the way through university. I did study abroad in France, but this was all a long time ago. I don't want to age myself. And after university, I haven't had any opportunity to speak French. So if people are speaking French around me, I know what they're saying.
He speaks French, so
but
can you say
I've been learning French for 14 years. Alliance Française.
14 years.
Yeah.
I still can't speak French.
Let's not expose ourselves on the pod. When the cameras are off, we'll do a bit of language exchange.
Okay, so from SOS, you moved to Stanford.
Yeah.
How was that brief moment before
so
going to your role?
People always ask me how was the culture shock and stuff, and I'm like, the thing is, when you're from a country like Ghana, you know everybody's business. you know what's going on in the US, you're watching American movies, like, you know, some cousin who lives here or there, you're exposed to their stuff, but they don't know anything about you. So if anything, I would say the culture shock was for my roommate. When this guy from Ghana arrived, you know, with my thick Ghanaian accent, he couldn't understand some of the things I was saying. But in terms of what was going on there, I felt like I was prepared. And in terms of the education, also coming from the IB system, I was able to rub shoulders. I was there. And with the IB, you do a year more than most other educational systems. So it's almost like you're doing a little bit of university prep. So with that, I didn't feel like I was behind when I got to university. And I had a great time at Stanford. I think it was a good fit for me.
Cool. Awesome. I just want to delve a little bit into Stanford, being at Stanford. Were you like a brilliant student in, you know, your early years? And if not, I mean, how did you find being in Stanford, being around one of the brightest minds in the world? Was it challenging? Did you find that, you know, how do I compare? How do Ghanaians compare to some of these people from all around the world in terms of academia?
I think like smart Ghanaians are on par with the rest of the world.
True.
The only difference is maybe the resources or things you've been exposed to. But I think intelligence is like it's not innate. Maybe you can work on it. It's like things that you're exposed to, you learn to learn. So Ghanaians can get that, but once you have that, once you've got that foundation, like when you get out there, you'll grasp the concepts or whatever it is you're learning fairly quickly. So, and I mean, smarter Ghanaians than me were at Stanford, and they had been there before me. So I felt like I had that community, and I felt like, oh, they're doing it. I can follow in their footsteps. So, I mean, Ghanaians are really smart. Like some of the Ghanaians that I'm not your typical nerd. I think I'm a very curious person. I'm also very practical. I like challenges. I like to figure stuff out. Those are my strengths. But in terms of like just brilliant, like I've met some Ghanaians who are out of this world. So
you're sitting with something.
Yeah. I'm sure you guys are geniuses, but I don't think Ghanaians need to worry about that. Like when you're out there in the world, like if you're smart, and you just need to believe in yourself.
So before we move into your first job after school, I just want to give us like some founders moments that you recall from SOS and also from Stanford.
Founders moments. Yeah. Founders, like as in
fun.
Oh, fun moments from SOS.
SOS and Stanford.
So I mean, I had a good time in SOS as well. So I was very sporty. I was very social. So I was entertainment prefect.
Oh.
So I used to DJ at school jams.
Oh.
In fact, I completely forgot about this.
At all.
My first sort of startup was with a couple of my friends, and we started this entertainment. I mean, we didn't register or anything, but we actually did gigs. Like people asked us to come and DJ at their events, and we were doing entertainment. We wrote this whole business proposal for inter-school dance competition before inter-school dance competition happened. So I don't know, maybe someone stole our idea. Maybe we're ahead of our times. Yeah. So I was into entertainment. I was also into sports. I really love sports. So I played football, basketball, volleyball, like school team. I loved my studies. I loved meeting kids from all over Africa, because SOS brings in kids from all over the place. And I think it really exposed me to a lot. It shaped me a lot in the pride that I have in what Africans can achieve. And that's kind of stayed with me since.
Cool. How about Stanford?
Stanford, what was I up to at Stanford? Stanford with mechanical engineering, I did have fun, but with mechanical engineering, you kind of had to be really sure from the start. Like the coursework was so much. So when a lot of my classmates were sort of exploring what they want to do with their lives and whatnot, I was quite set on being an engineer. And I had talked to advisors and all that. I had it all planned out. In fact, I went into Stanford thinking I was going to be like working with NASA, designing spaceships and stuff. And had it not been for my advisor, probably I would, because I'm headstrong like that. If I want to achieve something, I'll go at it full force. But my advisor was like, you'll be limiting yourself, because aeronautical engineering is kind of narrow. But do mechanical engineering, and then for your master's, maybe if you still want to do that, you go into aeronautical engineering. So anyway, I was pretty set from the start, and for that reason, I had to like take all of the coursework very early. There wasn't so much time for exploring, checking out economics or, more French or, what have you. But aside from that, I was playing football at the university. I was in the African Students Association. I was in a Caribbean dance troupe called Catch a Fire. You're bringing some of these memories back that I just kind of parked, Yeah, and they were fun times. Like I made friends from all over. I connected with the Black community at Stanford as well, because in my first year I was in the Black House. And I think that was very good for me to have, because sort of African American relations, it's a bit distant, or there's a bit like, well, they're not like us, or we're not like them. But that forced me to get some of that perspective, and honestly, I've understood it a lot more as I've graduated and gone on to life and had real world experiences. So I did that as well. I was in a fraternity as well. I mean, I think I made the most of the experience. I tried everything, and that's the kind of person I am. Yeah, maybe a bit to the detriment of my studies. Like, but I mean, it all shapes the person, so I don't have any regrets.
So let's move to your early career days, right from uni. How's it like? And then moving to China.
So I was always adventurous. I always wanted to explore, see new things. So when I applied to the job with AstraZeneca, they recruited me straight out of university. So even before I graduated, I was very excited. It was a global company. I was thinking, like I'll get opportunities to work in different places. Who knows? Maybe it's a career that will even bring me back to Ghana, to Africa somehow. And like the amazing, or it was a huge break for me. From when they hired me, straight away they asked me if I wanted to go and work in the UK. And like, sort of with my childish thinking, I was like, oh, like another adventure, like UK culture, like football teams, all of that. I'll go and enjoy that. So I kind of just went along, on that adventure, looking to explore the world, learn as much as I could. And I did engineering, traveled around the UK as well, doing manufacturing, working in lab facilities. And it was their leadership program that I got into.
Okay.
So, right on the back of that, they sent me to Puerto Rico. I worked in Puerto Rico as well. Learned a little bit of Spanish to complement my French that's not doing so well. And Puerto Rico, I was into like maintenance engineering, looking at new technologies in predictive maintenance control systems. So I had a pretty good grounding in engineering. And then when I got to China was when it really took off, because then I was working on
this really like a span of how many years?
So I arrived in China by my third year in AstraZeneca. So it was very quick fire. I was all over the place.
So you did Portugal, I did Puerto Rico.
I hired in the US, then UK. Then Puerto Rico. Then China. And even with that, so in the UK, I was moving around a bit. In China, I also did projects in India. So I was working in the engineering capital projects team. So we were setting up the manufacturing facilities. In India, it was data centers. So just understanding process, construction, design.
Interesting. So just to get about along all this journey, what's like the key lessons for you? I don't know if it was entrepreneur or like what work culture did you pick up, within the space of working for a
Yeah.
company like AstraZeneca?
I mean, it's a great question. It's probably the first time I've been asked about what culture I picked up while I was at AstraZeneca. But I would say AstraZeneca was a great place to work in terms of the culture that they had about, caring for each other within the company. The company providing benefits, the company encouraging work-life balance, the company, encouraging you to explore things outside of work, the company allowing you to take time off to go and explore or find yourself, and then you still have your job waiting for you.
Many people watching this cannot relate, including me.
I think there are a few companies that have that, but
Locally.
In Ghana.
I don't know about Ghana.
Locally, maybe the multinationals, yes.
Yeah, the multinationals may have it. I was just trying to recall the conversation. I feel like someone's mentioned this recently with one multinational to me. So there was just this culture of and the values of trying to do right by others, trying to do the right thing, being a team player, being collaborative. They had all these 5 values that I won't try to say all of them just now, but and also they were very intentional about creating company culture, and that's one of the things that I've thought of as I'm trying to build Zippy. What kind of culture are we creating? What kind of trust are we building between employees and the ownership or management, and just how to have a positive impact on employees. Like, it's not just about what they can give you. It's like what are you doing for them? How are you changing their lives in some way? So I feel like I've always been grounded in respect for others, treating others how you would like to be treated. But certainly AstraZeneca amplified that, and I guess made me realize that can be done in the corporate setting as well. Yeah.
Okay. So now we are back to the story. So now we are in China.
Okay.
The whole journey.
So yeah, going around China, building factories, laboratories, facilities for AstraZeneca. And then they asked me essentially what was happening back then in China is the government had policies that were encouraging companies to localize. And I think that we've touched on this a bit in some of the conversations we're having. So there was this shift in China where companies were localizing their senior management. Before most multinationals would, and you see that in Ghana, will bring in their top management, they lead the organization, and then you may have locals in other leadership positions below that. But the government was very intentional about having policies to encourage that, making it more expensive to hire expats and so on. So the company shifted strategy or started localizing, and then started looking for placements for the expats to move to other parts of the business. So they asked me to move to Sweden, and as I mentioned, after all that I had seen in China, I was like, "Oh, you guys are joking! I'm not going anywhere." So, I was like, "Okay, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it now. It's either now or I'm going to end up on the corporate ladder, and it'll be 10 years down the road. I'm like, oh, I had that idea. Like, that's what I was thinking. As other people are shining and having an impact, you're like, oh yeah, that's the idea I had, or you're full of regret. Why didn't I do that? So I decided, okay, like I'll just take the jump, and what's the worst that could happen? Like, worst case, I'll go and get another job, right? That was my thinking then. Luckily, it worked out. I mean, it wasn't, plain sailing. It wasn't always easy, but.
So at the time you had the idea for Zippy, or you had the idea, or you had a concept.
I had the idea that, something like Zippy would be great for Ghana, that it would work, that it was needed, but it wasn't the first thing I got into. So I positioned myself as a consultant or advisor for African businesses that wanted to develop a product or manufacture in China, right? So, for example, I worked on mobile fuel stations, so fuel stations that could be connected, so that you could remotely hail, same way you would hail an Uber, you would get a fuel truck to come to you, and it would be controlled centrally. So you pay through an app, and then backend sends a signal to the fuel dispenser. Okay, dispense this much fuel to this customer, and then there are checks to make sure it's being dispensed to the right customer. So there were things like that we worked on. Vehicle tracking, we've worked on similar devices where businesses wanted to customize those for their use. And yeah, that's kind of what we fell into. Yeah.
That's Yanara.
Yeah, so that's Yanara. That's my first startup, and I actually still run Yanara. As I was saying before, Yanara is what pays me, and then the money goes to Zippy. So it's kind of these are the things you need to do as a founder, right? Yeah.
So at what point did Zippy become like something tangible that?
I think it was 2022. I was sort of paying attention to what was going on in Ghana, and I saw that e-commerce was starting to be a thing, or starting to take off. Delivery services were very informal, but you were starting to see that there was a demand there, and that made me realize, oh, okay, I think the market is ready for it. Like before COVID, most people were like, I want to touch it, feely. I want to go and see what it is. Like, if you talked about online or e-commerce, Ghanaians were like, do you trust that? Like, oh, this our Ghana, it won't work, or that kind of attitude. But when we were forced into it, all of a sudden people were like, okay, I don't have a choice. And then they're like, oh, actually, it's not too bad, it's working. So I was observing that, and I was like, okay, this is our moment, like time to launch Zippy. But we didn't come with a splash or anything. We started out first developing the software. Like, okay, how's that going to work? We had the idea. We had seen what good looks like in other companies in China. But I was like, okay, how do they actually run it? Like, what software systems do they have in place to monitor and track and automate as much as possible? Because we started out thinking about scaling. So to scale, we knew that it couldn't be people like calling and figuring out what's going on here, telling this rider go here or go there. We're like, it all has to be automated. Like as soon as the customer puts in the information on the back end, we know what's going on. The delivery guy with this app, he knows what's going on, and it's all instantaneous. It's automated. So we started working on the software. We built the whole thing, like pretty happy with it. We came to Ghana to test, and then we realized that like their whole software ecosystem is not compatible with Ghana. Like when you're trying to integrate payment solutions, when you're trying to integrate maps, you start to realize there are all these hacks to make it work with the Chinese ecosystem. And that's because Google and Facebook aren't in China, right? And a lot of these, a lot of the software is being built on those platforms, right? So then it just, they couldn't talk. So we realized we had to rebuild, right? So we pretty much did everything from scratch. At least we had then figured out the logic and how it works. So on the back of that logic, we're able to move pretty quickly when we're building for the Ghana market. Yeah. So I kind of forgot how I got to that topic. So well, we built that first, MVP, and then we started doing some piloting. So that was the next thing. The other key technology that we have is our all-electric bikes. We only use electric bikes at Zippy, and we charge them using our solar plant. So what we had to figure out was, okay, what kind of electric bike is able to handle the load that we're going to put on it in Ghana? Load in terms of the workload. So, how long is it going to take our electric bike to go from let's say Dansoman to Adenta? How long is that charge going to be? What kind of battery do we need to be able to do that? What kinds of maintenance issues are we going to face with the bike? So we did piloting in the early stages to figure out that technology.
How long did the piloting take?
We did pilot I remember it was initially going to be 6 months. I think we ended up doing piloting for about 9 months. Yeah. At the same time, we're doing customer discovery, so talking to customers to understand, okay, what are your pain points with delivery? What's going wrong? And I mean, you hear all kinds of stories with with delivery in Ghana. I remember one of the funny ones that I heard was someone's like, "Oh, we're delivering in Ghana. By the time your rice and stew arrives, it's jollof." So it's like, yeah. So you know, there's that. There's affordability, pricing fluctuations. So we did all of that. You know, customer discovery surveys to understand, you know, what does a good product look like in this space in Ghana. Yeah, so having sort of gathered all our intel on what's going, understanding what our competitors were doing, because around the time we launched, I think Yango had already launched for a few months. There were other local players in the space. People like Bolt and Uber were also now starting to explore having delivery as part of their product mix. Yeah, so we did all of that, understood the competitive landscape, still felt that we had enough differentiators that we can actually make a splash in the market. And then we launched. We launched June 3rd of 2024. And yeah, it hasn't been sort of smooth. It hasn't been always upward growth the whole way. But I think we've come a long way. We've done some big deals. Maybe we'll come on to those later. And we're actually seeing that there's market validation for what we're doing. You know, customers are asking us to expand, and that's a good position to be in.
Great. Awesome. So I think before we move the conversation forward, I just want to learn about how your team was set up in the early days.
Yeah.
How was the team set up like? And then also, did you raise money before you get started? How was that journey also like before we move forward?
So team dynamic, we grew. I mean, we grew as you do with a startup. We started with 2 people, well, 3 people, and then we were sort of extending with a tech consultant, so a developer team that was outsourced to widen our reach. The first person that I brought on board was an old classmate. Who I was just like,
Stanford or SOS?
From SOS. Yeah. So, you know, that's Linda Clark. Shout out. She had resettled in Ghana for a few years, and I felt like coming into Ghana, you don't just come with your bright ideas and think that you need to have some local expertise, street smarts in the sense that you know what's going on in the ecosystem, in the economy. So that was the first person that I brought on board, and then the second was our CTO. So he was recommended to me by a friend. Again, I think that's something that I've done pretty well coming from outside to set up in Ghana. Is I relied on my network in Ghana to find people. So again, I knew a pretty strong software developer, and I was like, okay, I need someone to do this. What kind of profile of developer should I like? My first hire as a developer, who should that be? What kind of profile should that person be? And he was like, oh, it needs to be your back-end guy, right? And he gave something I wouldn't have known, right? I might have hired someone who was just going to do some really nice Figma for me that wasn't going to work, right? So yeah, I leveraged a lot of my connections, my network in Ghana. I mean, I was here for 18 years, so it's not like Johnny just come, I didn't know anything. Like, I just relied on the people I knew, and they gave me some guidance. So that's how we brought our CTO on board. And then we just started to grow as and when we needed. Like, we got to some point where, like, we really need someone to be in charge of operations, like someone who's going to be keeping an eye on what's going on with packages, making sure delivery people are, where they're supposed to be. And that was even before we had started operating. So it was more about who's responsible for setting up the processes that are going to make sure things happen like clockwork, right? So then that was the next hire. And yeah, we hired as and when we felt the need for that role. Yeah.
In terms of raising funds, did you
raising funds? So we started our bootstrapping. So through all the piloting and stuff, that was all, just me putting money into the business. When we felt like we had understood the business, we had done enough customer service, we also had some test customers that we were running, and we felt that the demand was there. We felt that we had proven the concept, and it was time to actually launch, but at a limited capacity. We reached out in our network, so friends and family, and through that we're able to raise 300K to get us going.
Okay.
Our industry is very asset heavy.
Yeah, it is.
So 300K may sound like a lot, but like we have a warehouse, we have bikes, and
the charger
solar plant to charge it. So we're able to go through that fairly quickly, not wastefully. I mean, we really stretched that, extended ourselves, and we've achieved a lot in that first year. But that's how we did it, thanks to investors who believed in us, really. Because the idea was great, but why you? Like, can you actually execute on the idea? And they just believed in us. They trusted us. Having known us, all of the investors have known me for many years, so it was easy for them to commit based on what they knew about me.
I'll be a bit selfish here. Please forgive me. So I'm building something also, and then let's say in a couple of months I'll be looking like raise some pre-seed round.
Yeah.
What would be one advice you give to people like me?
I mean, it wasn't easy. I ended up pitching to all kinds. I was pitching to business people in China, business people in the US, business people in Ghana. But I found that a lot of it was around, so it's a bet that they're taking, investors, especially at the angel pre-seed stage. It's essentially a bet. Like, what's the percentage of startups that fail before pre-seed? I don't know the number, but
in 10 years, one will survive.
1 out of 10, yeah.
Oh, in 10 years, one
will survive in 10 years.
Oh, okay.
1 out of 10 would
1 out
survive.
of 10 survive.
1 out of 10 survive. Oh, okay, within the first 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's that high.
So 90%, 90% fail.
90% fail.
Yeah.
No, even the 10%. I'm surprised it's that high. But yeah, so essentially they're taking a bet, and the bet really is on you. Like, you've told them, I'm going to do this. They've seen what you've done, your track record, like in their interactions with you, they know your credibility and so on. So it was those people who are willing to invest at that stage. The institutional guys, unless you're in Silicon Valley where people are raising just on vibes. In our context, I think it's people who know you, people who understand your track record, your credibility. They are the higher percentage plays. So I would reach out to more of those kinds of people rather than straight away going to institutional investors. Even the institutional investors, there might be someone in there who knows you, but it's a panel that's making a decision. And they're like, are they making any revenue? What has he founded before this? Like, it's a trickier conversation. So
if you're making revenue using dollars or cents.
Exactly. I mean, working in the Ghanaian market, sometimes the expectation is a bit over. I'm thinking, who's paying us that money? Yeah.
So you launched in 2024. How's the launch?
Well, I say we launched. We launched our social media. We started publicizing, blowing our trumpet. We didn't actually have a big launch event at the time. I think we felt that wasn't the timing in Ghana to make a splash. We wanted to aim towards the end of year when you have all the sales and promotions. We thought that would have a higher impact at that time. Our plans were scattered by the time we got to that time. I think we'll get onto that with some of the questions that you have for me. But the launch was fairly straightforward. We were like, is like, you know, when someone presses the on button and then you're sitting back to see what happens. Like, will the orders flow in? You're looking at the admin portal, like, hey, is there a new customer? Like, you know, as a new order flowed in. We did okay. Like, for a completely new business, we started to build traction with people who heard about us and took a chance on us. They were like, oh, like, we really like your service. And because of how we had set up and how intentional we were about the service level we wanted to deliver and how we wanted to really differentiate ourselves, not only on the technology side, but also on the human side and the service we're delivering. Like, one of the things is we only recruit a certain type of delivery partner. So there needs to be some education level, communication ability, sort of a bit of a salesperson ability. So we're very intentional because we knew that the delivery guys would be the face of the company. Most people who interact with Zippy
will never meet you.
Will never meet me. Like, the only person they know is our Zippy delivery partner who shows up to their area. So we have guys who like are doing university degrees and working with Zippy as a delivery partner. You know, guys on diplomas. We have guys who have actually graduated from university. You know, maybe had a gap or waiting to get that right opportunity. They came to work with us, and we're okay with that. We know that, like, people are passing through. It's sort of a stepping stone to other things. But we also do our best to create opportunities within, so that it can be a stepping stone to another role within Zippy. Yeah. So how did I even get onto that?
How was the launch? You're talking about the launch.
Talking about the launch. So yeah, we're doing okay. We're building traction. We had customers who, you know, really liked our service that we were delivering. They were recommending us to their friends or other businesses. So we had organic growth to begin with. We didn't have like a huge budget to do a launch and splash and, you know, buy radio ads or billboards all around the place.
Okay, awesome. I think you've not really explained what your core business model of Zippy is. So if somebody's listening, what's your core business model of Zippy?
Yeah. So I think there are 3 pillars to what we do at Zippy. So I talked a bit about the technology, the software before. We have an aggregation model, which is different from your usual A to B kind of delivery. We're able to deliver in bulk or at scale. So we're, without getting into all the technical details, we essentially bring in packages from different regions of Greater Accra to a central sorting space and then redistribute them. So that's one pillar of it. That allows us to deliver twice as many packages with less trips, right? So it's all about that efficiency and planning for scale. The second one is our all-electric fleet, which I've talked about. We call them cargo bikes. Some people out there call our guys aboboya. When you see a Zippy bike, you'll recognize it. And I love that about them. They're like steady workhorses. And they have a huge bucket on the back. Like our payload is like 70 kg. There you go.
It stands out.
Yeah.
It really stands out.
It does, and I mean, it does the job. Like, they're hardened. They can travel over 100 kilometers on one charge, carrying 70 kg, and that really suits our aggregation model. They're also a lot cheaper to run, right? Being electric. I did the calculations, about 20 times cheaper to run an electric bike, and that's with ECG, and we're using solar to charge ours as well. So have really good control of our cost drivers. And then the third part, which I talked about, was the software. But we've designed our software so we can face the full spectrum of businesses. So we've got the mobile apps that face small to medium-sized businesses. We've got a web app, a merchant portal that's for medium-sized businesses. And then we've got API integration for, you know, e-commerce platforms that want to integrate directly into our backend, so that orders placed on their website, on their apps, go directly to our backend, and our delivery partners will see that order instantaneously.
Okay, so was it just your commitment to solving a problem and making an impact in Ghana that made you start Zippy, or you had some mentors and like some people that um, influenced the whole
No,
Zippy
it's
journey?
yeah, it's always been about like being part of the story in Ghana. So what I didn't want to become, and I see a lot of, is people sitting on the outside complaining about what's wrong on the inside. It's like, oh, Ghana dear, we'll never do this or we'll
Will
never
not
do
go
that, or just complaining about stuff. And I thought, well, if all the smart people are leaving to go and sit outside and then commentate on what's going on
That's
on
true.
inside, like, how are things going to improve? So I was always driven by that. And I always say I'm not the typical entrepreneur. So it wasn't, I know businesses need to be sustainable, right?
Yeah.
It's not a charity. You're not going to run a successful business on donations, right? You need to be able to provide a return on the investment. But yeah, I look at business as solving problems. So I latch onto the problem. I'm not married to the well, I am married to the problem. I'm not married to the solution. Like I'm quite flexible, but I latch onto a problem and I'm like, I want to solve this problem, right? Like it's solvable. I think there's no problem that's not solvable, and you don't even need to be the smartest person. I think determination is actually more important. And being persistent. So my approach to entrepreneurship is solve the problem, and the money, the revenue, whatever else will come as a side effect of that.
Cool. So how has the journey been since you did your test, you did a pilot, the customer discovery, the market?
So I think we've actually done, sitting here and looking back, we've actually done a lot. We've done well. But obviously on a day-to-day, you're like in the problems and you're like, this isn't right. Like we need to have gone, further, or, sometimes I'm hard on myself like that. And sorry to my team, sometimes hard on you too. But it's because I know we can do more. And I know that we've got our strategy planned out so well that if we can execute on that, like we won't fail. Like we'll be able to do. The execution is, is where we need to get it right. So I'm like, okay, we need to really go. But in terms of how well we've done, so we've got a deal with Melcom. So we're providing delivery services for Melcom. We've recently actually expanded that to include their intra-company sort of courier stuff.
Great.
We're working with OmniRetail. That was recognized as the fastest growing business in Africa by Financial Times. And we're working with Ishtari, another e-commerce marketplace. We're working with one company that's maybe less known, but they're certainly doing good business. They're like an integrator for Alibaba and other Chinese e-commerce platforms, so bridging that gap to African markets. So we're working with them to explore the Chinese market as well. So like those are the good deals we've done, and in that time as well, dealing with smaller or small to medium sized businesses, we've signed on over 3,000 businesses onto our platform.
Close to a year. In the span of a year.
Yeah.
3,000.
Yeah.
That's a big number.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know.
So
I wish we had more time.
I would say but I mean, think of how many. Well, that's the thing, right? 3,000 businesses, but we're facing the whole spectrum. Like, you're right. If you decided, okay, my side gig, I want to be doing something while I'm at my job, but I can't be moving stuff around. Zippy can do that for me. And that's one of the impacts that we're having that I really love, is like we're really like bringing a lot of businesses to the table. Like all you need is a WhatsApp account. I don't even know if are they WhatsApp stores now? Is it similar to how you have an Instagram store?
Kind of a catalog.
Yeah, catalog on your WhatsApp.
So that's what it is. Not quite a store, but lots of businesses just have their catalog, and people message them, I want this or that. And they're, okay, Zippy, can you pick this up and send it over? So there are lots of small businesses on there, and I think there are millions more that we haven't reached yet.
Definitely,
Right.
yeah.
Every Ghanaian is a very Ghanaian. Everyone's got a side
Everyone,
gig,
yeah.
side hustle thing.
Poga has like 4 or 5.
Hit us up. Zippy can be your partner.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But within a year, you've actually done well
Yeah.
in the year of your growth. But what would you say are the challenges you've faced, either your day-to-day challenges or in the journey so far? What's been the challenges you're facing?
HR has been a big one.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
Like,
you mean
Building
the
a team
people or the HR?
managing the.
I mean, managing people.
Okay.
Ghanaians are difficult to work
Managing
with.
people. Hey?
Ghanaians
Are they difficult to work
Are we,
with?
are we all difficult?
You know, interestingly, I actually ran a delivery business for like a couple of months right before MES, and within a month we have gone through 3 riders. All of them I turned it over within a month. So understand that a little bit. Yeah, working with people, it's especially in the delivery, it's quite challenging.
Yeah, and that's it. It's very transient. The workforce is very unstable. I think people who tend to end up in that industry, it's almost like it's either a pit stop or
Passing.
they took a detour from what they were trying to do. So they're not coming there to stay. Like that's not their end point. No one is like, I want to grow up to become a delivery guy, right? But what we're working on doing is, okay, at least for the time that you're here, like, let's make sure that your goals are aligning with our goals, right?
Okay.
It needs to be working for both sides. And I think I'm sort of speaking to the solution now, but that's what we've done to improve that situation. Like the toughest time that we had was when we just, for whatever reason, lost. Well, I know the reason. So, we started out, ramping up. So business wasn't so busy to begin with, right? So the guys that we hired, they're like, oh, I like this job. I'll come, I'll do a bit of work, I'll hang out with some friends, and I'll get paid at the end of the month. And then, like, we had this breakthrough moment where there were influencers who got a hold of our product, like, organically. We hadn't reached out to them, but all we realized was that there were influencers talking about us on TikTok, on Twitter, and like, it was going viral. And it was like, hey, listen, if you're not using Zippy delivery now, like where are you? Like, what cave are you? And like that kind of energy. And we all of a sudden got a spike in the number of registrations, the number of orders coming in every day. And all of a sudden, people had to do work.
No. And they didn't see that coming.
And someone has told me, with Ghanaians, you need to set the bar from the beginning. Because if it's chill and then all of a sudden you're asking them to work, it's like, hey, and you're still paying me the same amount. And my thinking was, no, but actually before you weren't doing enough for the money. Like, now you're about to work for the money. But their thinking is different. It's like, no, like,
that's
like this is the money for now. Like, now that it's busier,
you have to increase it.
Yeah. And we're getting comments like, oh, we can see the business is doing well. I'm thinking, bro, we're not even like 0.5% towards break even. But that's the mindset. And a lot of them started quitting. So right at this moment where we were getting the breakthrough, we were getting a lot of orders coming in, we would have half of our guys showing up.
Wow.
And that had a very real impact on customers. Like, our customer service team, bless them, like, they were just on the phone, like, daily, trying to like make up for things that had gone bad because delivery guy didn't show up. One guy is having to cover two areas or do double shift or all of that. And that was a really painful period. That was one of those moments when I was like, the idea is great, but had we factored in the people factor, like, that was the uncontrollable variable that's come to really bite us. So yeah, there was a lot of thinking around that time. Like, how do we motivate these guys? How do we get them to align their goals? What is it actually that they want? How do we make sure that we're not being taken advantage of. So we had to think of, different strategies, different structures to implement. And we figured it out. We figured out the secret sauce. And I think the culture has it's been a 180 change. Today, when I see the delivery guys as they're coming in, they're happy. They are telling me how they're going to break records that day.
Okay.
And so their goals are aligned.
Yeah.
They see what they're getting out of it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm happy for them, and I'm happy for the business.
It solves the problem.
So we've managed to turn the culture around, and it's going well.
That's great.
But yeah, those were the dark days. Those were the days where I was thinking, okay, how does the conversation go with investors, people who have trusted me, with their savings? They've worked hard for it. They've invested in the company because I've told them that we can execute, we can actually win with this strategy. So yeah, it's, a bit stressful during that time, but we've come out of the other side of that better for it. We've learned the hard lessons, and we'll apply that in all the other areas of the business.
Awesome. I mean, I'm happy you've been able to figure it out, but I wanted to answer a question in this regard, having this challenge and the fact that we have stuff like automation, drone deliveries and AI coming in. How it might be a little bit controversial, but as an engineer, do you think of somehow in the future, it might be a long shot in Ghana, but somewhere in the West, they're doing drone delivery, robotics delivery.
Yeah.
Do you think how this, these automation come in, does it solve the problem, although people are losing their jobs? What's your perspective on that? If that's the future, do you think it's inevitable? How do we compensate for people losing their job? In terms of automation and even AI in general, and how it affects people.
One, I don't think it will completely phase out the need for the delivery guys, because one, the drones can only carry so much. If you're doing, I actually met a guy who's doing some great stuff with drones. Can't remember the company name. I would have given him a plug.
Zipline.
Not Zipline.
No Zipline. It's in Ghana.
Yeah, in Ghana.
Drones.
Working mostly with mines, doing drone surveying, but then also doing.
There's IR
data.
There's IR data.
Drones.
They do for agriculture, so they do surveys. They do aerial footage and
okay. So maybe there are a few businesses, but the one that I have in mind is not that one. But okay. So if you have higher payloads, you may need fixed wing drones who may get it from one hub to another hub, and then you need to do the last mile still with your traditional methods. For your what do you non-fixed wing, your traditional drones, well, maybe they have them that can carry higher payloads now, but they generally don't. So for those, you'll be limited in the scope. Also, you have other challenges in the market which preclude using drones for delivery. So customers in Ghana are another variable. I talked about HR being difficult. Customers in Ghana are unpredictable. Addressing is unpredictable. So customers won't stay where they're meant to be. They won't be ready to receive it at that time. So when the drone gets there, are you just going to leave it there? What's the security around that? So you're thinking of like drone cabinets that maybe a drone can land on a cabinet and deliver.
I've seen one like that in China.
So it's still a long way away. I don't think people will be losing delivery jobs anytime soon, but I think it can supplement. Say you're working with a business that's fixed location, and there'll always be someone there to receive that package. Yeah, it's feasible in that instance. But for your traditional small to medium-sized businesses, the variability or unpredictability of the customer behaviors means you'll need someone, to be able to talk to them and understand, okay, how can I best serve you? Yeah, it's not so easy to automate in that instance.
Great. So as we wrap up, I have one question. So for startups, one of the big things or one of the big moments for us would be like working with big organizations, You've mentioned Melcom and the rest like that. Can you just briefly talk about, just pick one of them? How was it like getting the deal, negotiating it? What are some of the things that you did that people can also...
I want to talk about the Melcom story because I remember when we started out, one of our strategies for go-to-market was we need to hit some big fish. Was what we call it. We need to hit some big fish because once you can prove that this organization trusts us, that we're able to deliver to the standard that they have, it's easier to convince the smaller fish. The smaller fish will hear you work with Melcom. Oh, okay, then some of the apprehension melts away. So anyway, we listed some of the big fish that we're going to talk to. Melcom was one of them. We kind of looked around, anyone with links to Melcom, any warm interest that we can get, there was nothing. So we're sitting around the table and we're like, maybe we can just go. So we literally just went. We just went to Melcom to go and introduce. There was a bit of bluffing involved, like a bit of. I wouldn't say fake it till you make it, but just showing confidence, like we deserve to be here. We got there, like it started from the security guy. We're just like, who's the head of your online department? And he's not thinking, oh, I shouldn't be given this information. And I was like, oh, you probably want to talk to this person. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Went up to reception. We're here to see this name. Wow. Does he know you're coming? Oh, well, he may not know we're coming now, but like a non-answer. Like, I'm very principled like that. I don't like lying. But I'm I can give an answer that's a non-answer that
It's not like it's not the truth.
Like essentially my answer, I hadn't said anything in the answer. He may not know we're coming at this time. Okay, well, you have a seat because he's in a meeting. So the guy came. Well, actually, no, he didn't meet with us that day. The receptionist was like, well, he's stuck in a meeting. He won't be able to come out. But, why don't you message him? I was like, oh, actually, he didn't give us his number. So like, okay, why don't you message this number? So we got his number. So now I have a direct line to the, the commercial manager there. Started talking to him, sort of explaining what we're about, pushing, some of our, product screenshots and stuff to explain what we're about. Luckily, because in business, there's always some luck, in life in general. Like for me, when people are like, oh, I'm self-made, I did everything myself. I'm like, nah, come on. There's always, you get some lucky breaks. Luckily, this guy was very forward thinking. He was trying to transform Melcom online to become much more agile, to have much more quick commerce. So he was like, oh, okay, like we need something like this. We're not ready for it just yet, but we'll need it down the line. So he was like, okay, come in, pitch to me, show me how it works, show me your technology and whatever it is. And we came and did that. Talked about my background. So again, establishing that credibility. And we struck it off so that once the guy at the top,
lost it.
When you go and you're trying to get intros from some manager or whoever, everyone has their agenda. You don't really know if it's got to the senior person the way you would have said it. But having gone straight to the top, like everybody else fell in line. He was like, okay, talk to this person about this part. Talk to that person about that part. I mean, we even got to a point where we were kind of advising them on how to shape their e-commerce platform based on the experiences that we were having. So it became that kind of relationship. And it's been really good for us. Like they're also a good team to work with. I feel like we've developed that relationship where it's like, okay, like we're trying to help you, you're trying to help us.
That's great. So last question before we wrap up. What does the future of Zippy look like for you, briefly?
World domination. They always say aim for the sky, fall in the clouds. But I say that in jest, but our vision certainly has always been continental.
Okay.
Like first of all, we started out with our customer discovery, understanding the pain points in Ghana, right? We did that, I guess, organically. We did the groundwork to get that information. If you go on GPT now and ask what the pain points are for delivery in Kenya, South Africa, Egypt, Morocco, Uganda, Rwanda, the list that shows up is exactly what we've found out working in Ghana and what we've built for. So we have that confidence that actually we're building a product that's easily transferable to these other markets. Yeah. Of course, here we have home court advantage, so we want to grow and really streamline our model, our service here, and then cookie cutter with some adaptation. As I mentioned, when I came into Ghana, I didn't come bravado like I have the best idea. With every market, you'll have to find the local people, you'll have to get insights, you'll have to get support. So essentially we'll take that model and we'll go across the continent.
That's great. Thank you very much for coming. This brings us to the end of this conversation. Thanks a lot for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you're watching on MX24 too, tell your friend about it. We air on Thursdays at 8 p.m. and then on Sundays at 7 p.m. Thank you very much for watching, and then we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.